Hey everybody, so we are back at Milk River. It's Monday night, February 7th, and there's so much support still. So obviously there was an amazing turnout over the weekend. We've all heard about it. You know, it sounds like there was as many as 5,000 people here at some points in time. So we came down tonight because nights are tough and the first part of the week is tough. It's hard to keep support. So there's a huge group from northern Alberta. We're showing up now as we speak. People are waving and happy and smiling. So yeah, we wanted to talk about a few things. The first one is the border closures and the slow rolls. So we're hearing about border closures in Windsor. So obviously our closure / half closure here at Coutts. There's been a rolling convoy / closure at Caraway. And we're hearing stories about Vancouver. Not sure about that yet. We're digging into that further. But also at Osoyoos. We know that there was some of that going on at Osoyoos. So, folks, that's what needs to happen. That's the talking point right now. I mean, we're in full support of all the guys in Ottawa and everything they've done. But, you know, this is a great way to show pressure, too. So, if you want to do something, get involved in a slow roll every day at noon for a couple hours. Find a group, like we said last week, for 2 hours with 10 people and get out and do it. That we can't let this die. We can't let it slow down. It's getting more heated and more intense with each passing day. So these are all good things. We know that we had great turnouts in the cities over the weekend, and we're so overwhelmed by it. And so just walking around here tonight a little bit has been incredible because of the people you meet. And I'm with somebody now who I'm going to introduce in a few minutes. But I explained as we walked up that these people are like your neighbors. When you walk up to them, I literally don't know anybody here. And you couldn't tell that. This is true Canadianism at its finest. They want to shake your hand. They want to ask where you're from. They want to offer you food. I think that we might have turned the corner a little bit on the hate discussion. I hope so. Because none of it anywhere we've seen is hatred based. It's all inclusive and it's all good. So we're going to walk a little bit here, getting closer to the front where the actual blockade is. And before I let our friend here talk, I want to talk a little bit about what happened on Friday with the schools. So there was lots of school walkouts all the way across Canada. The stuff in Alberta, by and large, was very, very positive. It was respectful. I guess there was a few instances where parents went into the school. I mean, everybody's got to decide what's best for them and for their kids. But every chance we get to keep this positive, just it's one more thing that they can't take away from us. And when we're positive and respectful, like everybody's been so far, it just, I don't know. It's just hard to beat what's happening. So that's great. But to expand that a little bit, there were incidents. And there have been threats, and there has been manipulation, and there's been intimidation of kids. It's happening with educators. We're seeing that all the time. What's happening right now, folks, we know we're hearing about it now a little bit in Ottawa, but what's happening at Coutts is unprecedented. These are our average people who are standing up for our rights right now, and the games and the lies and the manipulation by just a handful of RCMP, and I understand it's their job, but what's happening is disgusting. They're taking up new tactics every day. So now what's happening at night is they're coming out in plain clothes, and they're circulating, and they're telling their story, and they're supportive, and the whole situation, or it's, this is about to end. It's, this can't continue forever. It's never-ending games. And it's just, I don't think the average person could possibly understand what it's like. So just reach out if you can. Give thanks to these folks when you can, and understand that the pressure that they're under is just nothing short of enormous. It's gross because the game's here changing minute by minute, day by day. Every day is something different. Boy, here's a sign that everybody needs to see. I know that we've seen it already a few times, but I'll show it again just because we're going to deal with these guys sooner or later. So now, after all that said, talking about intimidation and threats and the challenges we're facing, the last piece before I let our new friend talk is the fact that we want to make sure everybody understands that this isn't urban versus rural. This isn't blue collar versus white collar. What this is just Canadian. And the support that these people are getting from everybody right across the spectrum is nothing short of outstanding. And so, with that being said, we've got someone with us tonight who made the effort and drove 7 hours here as a nurse to say her piece. So we're just going to walk and she's going to give us some of her thoughts and ideas. But, you know, folks, this isn't just about truckers and it's not just about ranchers. It's about everybody. And I mean, we've got support from former CPS, former RCMP. We've got support from sheriffs. We've got support. Literally every walk of life has reached out in one way, shape, or form now over the past week and said, how can we help? How can we help? Well, how we help is by having this conversation so that the average Canadian gets to see who's involved. Okay? This isn't one class, one group, one race, one sex. It's all of us. And we're all together. Young, like that guy, young and old together. So with that being said, we're going to let our new friend speak and we're going to get some thoughts out of her.
Tim, thank you. You know, this is so overwhelming to be here and just look around and feel into the energy here just in the short 5-10 minutes that I went over the fire. I met a retired teacher that drove 7 hours as well to be here. I met a woman from Vancouver Island who is here. I met another guy who came just from Saskatchewan to be here to stand up. This is incredible, definitely emotional. So I'm a frontline worker of 18 years and registered nurse. Love my career as a registered nurse. And I've worked many different roles, including a nursing instructor and a team lead. I've worked since the start of the pandemic, certainly, and always wearing the required PPE. I'm recovered from COVID. My whole family is. We had it way back in December 2020, had long haul COVID. And I've got thriving natural immunity, which is not accepted with AHS. And really across the board, that conversation is not being had. And it's been evidenced with my natural immunity. I had it tested with ICOR and with the Mayo Clinic, and I'm planning to do it again at the end of the month. You know, I work myself, so I'm here voicing on behalf of many other nurses, many other healthcare professionals, all of us, you know, feeling the heaviness of the situation that we're in. For myself, I've always been an independent person and take the time to, you know, not to accept what is being told to me just based on the authority behind it. And so I think it's extremely important to be a critical thinker, and now more than ever, and to question everything. Knowledge begins with asking questions, and there are a lot of questions to ask these days. And particularly, in addition, my nursing profession has trained all of us to be a critical thinker and to ask questions. We were taught not to discriminate, not to judge, and provide patient-centered care. And this is based on a strong belief in informed consent, confidentiality, medical freedom and choice, medical transparency, and respecting bodily autonomy and sovereignty. And again, very importantly, informed consent with an individual risk-benefit analysis. So truly, you know, what we're seeing and what I'm seeing here with people standing up for this is that this has not been happening through this mandate. And to be clear, myself and so many of my colleagues and friends, healthcare professionals that I've met, we are all pro-science. I personally come from a science family. And we've been following the science behind the recommended, you know, experimental mRNA vaccines from the beginning. You know, a fact is that there is a tremendous amount of scientific evidence that questions the safety and efficacy of these vaccines. So personally, one of the reasons too coming down here is I know personally many people that have been vaccine injured, and the underreporting of that in itself is a tragedy. So why is there such a lack of conversation surrounding vaccine-induced injuries? You know, my colleagues and I, we have this conversation daily, which is just perplexing to us. These voices, these conversations and panels are being completely censored by mainstream media. Serious injury and death exists, period. And things are moving fast. You know, it would be so important to take this pause with what I see happening here. You know, all these people coming together, what's happening in Ottawa, what's happening in many other places throughout our country and around the world. You know, taking a pause just to reorientate ourselves with the current literature that's coming out, the current research and statistics of what the evolving science of COVID is so important. You know, considering how the edicts have come down on what people have been allowed to do, and all of the threatening fines and the continuous lockdowns and the demanding papers and the restrictions on travel. You know, my aging mother is in the East Coast and I'm not allowed to go travel to visit her. It's heartbreaking. So all of these things, you really have to question what is going on here. Were these restrictions justified? Were the restrictions on our personal liberties fair? Were they constitutional? Were they moral? You know, this is the question that everybody's asking themselves. Well, I like to think everybody, but I know that a lot of people, Tim just showed a sign there about the mainstream media. You know, biggest thing I tell a lot of my family is turn the TV off. There's a lot more valid alternative mainstream sources of media, and just alternative sources of media, period, that have their boots in the ground, that can show you what's going on. So now, you know, more than ever, the invitation is to step back and take this objective look at the reality of the situation. And looking around here, the passion and the commitment of these people here, and with the dedication of everybody that is in Ottawa, moving forward, and all of these many informed individuals, you know, just the reality that I am more scared to take this mRNA injection than I am to get COVID again. And it hit me hard as well. So, but that does not make me or all of my friends anti-vaxxers. That does not give the government the right to label us as an anti-vaxxer and take away our rights. So examining this mainstream rhetoric, you know, of this vaccine mandate, and that this mandate is the only way through this, needs to happen. Examining the fact that these vaccines, these novel mRNA vaccines, do not prevent virus uptake, and that transmission is still happening in the vaccinated. That there is vaccine failure. Why are we not acknowledging this? This mandate was invoked to protect the patient population that we care for. And so with this emerging data, is there still enough solid scientific data to even support the notion of being vaccinated? You know, I understand vaccinate our elderly, protect the elderly, but taking the inquiry into looking at the speech of our political leaders that they've been using, especially in the past 3 to 6 months, you know, what's the undertones of spreading these seeds of divisiveness and hate and fear? We need to ask ourselves, is this lashing out justified? Is placing blame and shame, is this placing blame and shame on those people making an informed choice justified? Are these numerous false and misleading and scientifically unsupportable claims like we're in a pandemic of the unvaccinated? You know, are these valid? Or that vaccines are more effective than natural immunity derived from recovering from COVID? So, Tim, I'm just so thrilled to see these initiatives starting to come up. As nurses, as healthcare professionals, we've been in this fight for a while. And why is the government and their mouthpiece And the mainstream media promoted this non-stop campaign of fear for so long now, this non-stop chorus of on TV and radio and the internet and case counts and hospitalizations and deaths. You know, there really is a disconnect from the observed reality and that which is portrayed in the government portrayed by the government. So, and especially in Ottawa, what's happening there, it is so perplexing, bewildering, and frustrating as a proud Canadian to see what is happening. And I'm reminded of the quote that truth does not mind being questioned. A lie does not like being challenged. So how is that playing out now in our COVID conversation with our political leaders and our medical authorities? Who is perpetuating this hysteria and this divisiveness in our society? And how the hell, excuse my language, how did we get to where we are now? Seriously. And so again, I urge you, anybody that's listening, I think now more than ever, it is so important to be informed. Do your research. Check out FLCCC, that's the Frontline COVID Critical Care Alliance. They have a vast amount of scientific research questioning what is going on. Canadian COVID Care Alliance, Global COVID Summit. It is the position of myself and so many healthcare professionals that there are safe and effective medications to prevent or treat COVID. Supplements, nutraceuticals to strengthen your immune system and risk minimizing strategies that people can employ against the disease itself. These early intervention strategies are key. And why is there not more conversation about early prevention? So Tim, my hat goes off to you. Thank you. There's so many different layers to this conversation. Why are the growing number of vaccine injuries and deaths denied and ignored is one of the biggest ones, along with natural immunity. Again, why is there no conversation regarding recognition of durable, long-lasting, protective, natural immunity following infection with COVID? There is over 100 studies on this. So yes, it is my opinion and of my many friends, colleagues, healthcare professionals that there are far-reaching, distressing implications and divisiveness that this mandate is causing to the fabric and to the health of our communities and our society. And yes, I question this mandate because of science, because of my ethics, my integrity, and my honesty. And this is about truth. And it is not the time to turn on each other. We need compassion, empathy, and understanding. And this is what I see here. And I'm looking forward just to hanging out here, spending the night, chatting with some other truth seekers here. We need patience and forgiveness. We need, again, to objectively step back, take a deep breath, observe what is unfolding with a compassionate, non-judgmental lens, and listen to the stories that are being told and shared. Listen without judgment. And take time to see where others are coming from. May there be peace.
Well said. That's exactly right. May there be peace. So, in spaces like this, all across Canada, folks, that's what you find. We're finding those like-minded Canadians that we weren't sure if they were there or not, and they're from every walk of life, from every industry. It's fantastic to see. The outpouring of support is great, but don't forget, we can't pause now. We can't wait. We need to continue to be active. We need to be more active. So find a slow roll convoy somewhere. Find a group that you want to get involved with. Find
Passive,
out what
non-resistance.
That's exactly right. Find out
non-compliance.
Find out where maybe a border crossing blockade or slow roll is happening. Get involved. Take out your kids. There's kids all through this crowd right now, and this is the only way to make the difference, folks. Kenny's not listening. Trudeau's not listening. There's only one way to get this stopped, and it's to keep turning up the pressure. They think that we're going to break. And that's why the RCMP keep changing their tactics every day, to keep everybody off balance, to wear them out, to wear them down, to chip away at our resolve. But I'm here to tell you, I've never seen anything like this before in my life. The resolve of these
Nor
people,
have I.
there's hundreds and hundreds of people here right now, and they're smiling and they're sharing stories, and it could be right in your backyard. So I think that's going to be pretty much it for tonight. Things are relatively calm. We're having some fun, and we're meeting fellow Canadians from across Canada. So get out there, folks. There's only one way to turn this corner, and that's to get involved. Have a good night.